Hi, my name is Menam. I am doing my persuasive speech on negative effects of video games on children. Say hi. The negative effects of video games on children. As parents, we try to give our children what's best for them, but we also tend to give them what they want. In today's world, people come up with more advanced technology, which includes gaming devices. Most of these gaming devices are very affordable by most people. When my 4-year-old has asked for a Nintendo DS, I am a little skeptical about it, even though we have a lot of game consoles we barely even play with. We can look at how certain types of video games can negatively affect our children in development, academic skills, and behaviors, and how parents can limit these negative effects and even find alternative ways to avoid children from video games addiction. Video games were first introduced in the 1970s and now became very popular among children and adults alike. Those include arcade games, computer games, and home console games. If you look at now, almost all households have some kind of video games, and children may even have their own individual video game consoles. Many people have spent countless amounts of money on consoles, games, and accessories. Children have increased their time in playing video games, and the games have become more realistically aggressive over time. There are many video games that offer a wide range of perspective for teaching and learning, yet there are as many of those video games that contain violence and inappropriate behaviors. Through today's society, children are often influenced easily from what they perceive and observe, which makes video games a leading source. Many of today's video games are more fitted for young boys and often focus their interest on violent acts. Whether they are weapons, verbal abuse, or aggression, young boys' minds are easily formed through the violence of these games, which leads them in believing that weapons and fighting are normal. To encourage the more positive ethics for these young boys, parental guidance is essential in managing their exposure to those types of video games. A key task for parents and guardians is to help children differentiate reality apart from video games' fantasy with inappropriate characters and behaviors. Another issue arises when young boys perceive that disrespecting others and degrading women are acceptable behaviors. Researchers have shown that males are interested in video games more than females, for the reason that most video games are made by males for males. Extensive research has conducted to study the negative effects of video games have on children. According to a study, video games have interfere with homework and academic performance. Children playing video games are shown to decrease in attention span and decrease in school performances. Video games can also cause children to decline in verbal memory performance, start more fights with peers, and increase emotional and behavioral disorder symptoms. Children have shown to lack communication and interpersonal skills. Video games can also affect family as a whole. As children spend most of their time alone playing games, social interactions and relationships have weakened, and it causes children to become socially isolated. Another study has shown that video games lead in higher youth violence behaviors, and those children are 10 times more aggressive than those who have little interest in playing video games. Research has also documented negative effects of video games on children's physical health, including obesity, video-induced seizures, and posterior muscular and skeletal disorders such as tendonitis, nerve compression, and carpal tunnel syndrome. Most serious health effects include increased heart rate, and high blood pressure. Children can become overly involved and even obsessed with video games. It would be very difficult to eliminate video games from children completely, but there are ways to decrease these negative impacts. Parents should set clear rules on video games playing time. When consumption is limited, it is easier for children to engage in other activities. Parents should not allow children more than 2 hours a day playing video games. Appropriate games should be selected both in content and level of development. Parents can also encourage children to get involved in outdoor sports or participate children in other healthy activities. There is no doubt that video games can be enjoyable and entertaining. It also can be used to ease strain and stress. However, with no limitation, too much indulgence, and not enough parental control, it will lead children in video games addiction that can cause physical as well as psychological effects. Of course, video games are unavoidable, and lacking proper controls and management, the negatively influential video games will continue to encourage children in less physical activity, disregarding, and hostility. It is a critical responsibility for parents and other adults to manage the consumption and avoid inappropriate video games both inside and outside the home.